My name is Dana Bleakney-Huebsh. I work here at the Teaching Research Institute. I've been here for about a year and a half. Again, some of you I know really well. Some of you I'm getting to see for the first time, and yeah. So let's move into kind of the discussion. Just like our last session together, I would really like to keep this conversational. Ask questions, clarify things, tell me about your experiences. This is our opportunity to tweak things as we go. We're learning things. We get feedback from providers. We learn what's working in the curriculum worksheet, what's not. Same for the resubmission process. How's this working? How's it being understood? What do we need to tweak? And unless we get that feedback from you, we aren't able to really make the best adjustment. So feel free to chit-chat as often as you want. The opening activity. What have you guys heard about the resubmission process from programs, from providers? Positive or negative, doesn't matter either way. And what parts of the resubmission process are you hoping to learn more about today? So if we could just go around to everyone and kind of, I don't know, if you guys want to literally rotate or just kind of take some opportunities to just chit chat and say, okay, well, this is what I've seen, this is what I've heard. And maybe it is just the rumors, and that's okay too. But has anyone, so I know some places haven't had a portfolio submitted.
No,
so that's a challenge.
But I wanted to hear this so that, kind of like to be proactive. Like,
Yeah.
so when you're encouraging people to turn it in, that you could be proactive about the resubmission process. And I figured the more I knew about it, the more I'd be able to.
That's a great thing. So yeah, that's what you're trying to learn today. What is it going to be like when the providers in my area are going through this process? How is it going to look for them? How am I going to support them? Great one.
Well, I've had one person who needs to resubmit, but she was not surprised because she had not reached the 7.5 on the OR, so that was fine. She wasn't disappointed. However, she hasn't shared with me yet what else she has to do, and I'm not sure how she feels about it, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. So you guys have a scheduled sit down to review? Or
no,
not yet?
She knew I had knee surgery, so I think she's being nice to me.
Good point. Yes, you've been out, I recall now. So yeah, something to look forward to.
I'll give her a call next week.
We've had programs that have gotten their entire portfolio back because they needed a lot of revisions. And we've had other programs that have just gotten an email with their feedback form attached, even though it's like 50 pages.
Yes.
And just asking them to fix a few standards and then resubmit. I think the full portfolio was one of the first ones.
Yeah.
I remember right, and she had a lot to fix. But a lot of those issues were based on the old forms.
Yeah, which is a challenge. In the
So.
in the field test regions, the older versions of the portfolios made this process more cumbersome and challenging, and a lot of them have been readdressed with the new materials that all of you guys got at the statewide rollout. But you're right, definitely made a big impact for providers and their success. Yeah.
So if their portfolio was sent back to them and they fixed the things that need to be fixed, then you send the whole portfolio back to you guys again?
Because we want to see it in context. We want to see the whole program. So when you're just looking at a single item, like when I've gone out to do help Cheryl out at community cafes, I don't run around saying, yep, that'll pass, that'll pass, that'll pass, because I'm seeing it out of context. I need the whole portfolio, all of the items in it. And that's really what speaks to reviewers and shows, yes, these policies, this is a consistent thing in your program. These practices that you're talking about, I can see that kind of the thread that's throughout your program. So we need to see it in its entirety.
And as following up, if you do send them just tell the program, I need to see this evidence, we're not going to send your portfolio back right now, how long do you keep it? We had a program, an RF provider who was saying, okay, well, I've got everything ready to go, but I'm not going to send it until I finish my 7.5, which she was really close to.
Yeah.
But while she was finishing 7.5, guys said, oh, well, I guess it had been too long or something, and we sent the portfolio back. So she was brokenhearted about that. It was really, really upsetting for her. But
yeah, but it's explaining.
How long has it been? I don't know. How long do you keep it for?
And right now we're keeping things for quite a while because when we ask, and so let's kind of switch gears. We can come back and kind of share your experiences, but kind of talking on this because it's already coming up. This idea of additional evidence that we might need versus resubmission. So both of these things will happen after a portfolio has been reviewed. Again, not every portfolio needs this, but for those that need additional clarifications, we need to have them address items after the portfolio review. If they are not making it to the star rating that they're seeking, I'm going to seek a 4-star right now. I'm not making it. But I'm really, really close. I have 2 things. It's the policies. I said that they're in my policy handbook, but I didn't give a copy of the policy handbook, or maybe a page was missing, whatever it might be. So asking for quick, simple resubmission items is something that we will do. And again, these are requested by the teaching research. And actually, I forgot to pass you guys out your handouts because I was chatting. These, again, are requested by the Teaching Research Institute, and it's prior to that official designation or rating. So that program was waiting until we got this material from them so that we could score it. But if she's not communicating to us, hey, in a month I'm going to finish, my step 7.5, and then I'm going to submit the whole thing and, be able to be the 3-star that I'm seeking, whatever that might be, if they're not communicating to that to us, we are getting, we send them an email, we gave them a phone call, we asked them for this information, and then we're waiting, and we're waiting, and we're waiting. After a couple of weeks, yeah, we will send it back because we can't just keep it in our offices forever hoping that someday magically this document will come back up. So if you are working with the providers, we've asked for this additional evidence and they need some extra time. They're going to be out on knee surgery, whatever it might be. They're closed down for the summer. Let us know, make sure that the program conveys that to us so we can put an extra note on it. We're willing to keep it a couple of extra weeks as long as we know that they're actively working on it and this is meaningful time, not just something that we're collecting dust because nothing's happening with it, we're not getting good communication, but you're right.
I think that would be someplace where you guys could communicate to us, maybe, we're keeping this person's portfolio because, all we see is on the report from Patrick, is their portfolio was reviewed, they stayed CGQ. And, with this particular one, we didn't know that until several, weeks
Yeah.
went by, and
Well, and you're hearing,
she didn't reach out to us, and we didn't know whether and I don't want to necessarily call and say, so did they send you back your portfolio, or did they just ask for more evidence, or, if you guys can let us know what's going on.
So
with this,
what
that
makes
would be
this
great.
part hard for us as far as providing TA is on Patrick's sheet, and we've gone over this, is that it says pending review or post-review, and then if it's in post-review, to me, that's black and white.
Yeah.
Their portfolio has been reviewed, it's done, they're at a 2. And so it's on its way back, or they've received it back, there was something that kept them at a 2. But we've had program after program that it's listed that way when they've asked for additional evidence, or they've had a compliance issue, or they're still being reviewed, but it shows that. So it's,
You just checked in their portfolio, it's complete, you have it?
yeah.
Or you've looked at it and you're asking them, you're waiting for more information?
but to me, post-review means it's done. And then if it's still pending, or if you're still waiting on additional evidence or things to be resubmitted, it should still be in the pending, we're still reviewing it. And so then how do you know when to contact and?
Right.
And
If
that.
they don't reach out to me, then I don't know, I should reach out to them.
Absolutely, and that's why I love having you guys all in the room together, because it's like when all of our brains are here collectively, when we're sharing things, when we're talking about our experiences with providers, then we can learn and adapt and adjust, and that's something that Pat can most likely do in his database, is make another field so we can talk about, indicate this program is in this process of going through additional evidence. That way you can say, hey, how's it going? Have you gotten that stuff to Western? A week ago I got this report that said you're in this process, do you need any help? Do you have everything that you need? Oh, right now you're just finishing up school? Great. Have you told them that? Because if you wait too long, they'll send it back. So, make sure to communicate with Kirsten and Amy, who are most likely they're going to be talking with through that process, so that they know that.
How do you tell them, great, thank you, we need this other evidence from you? How do you
By
communicate that to them?
email, if they have that.
Could you include us on the email?
CC, we could talk about that. When it comes to portfolio feedback, it's something that we do specific with the provider. So just like we don't email you out the whole summary score sheet every single time a portfolio in your or program in your area completes the process. So we can revisit how much of that data we can share.
Is
Because
that
again,
something that could be added to the MOU as a part of their agreement, that they agree to, that Western can share?
share data with with quality improvement specialists
Like
and
a
other
release
I mean, there's
partners.
some kind of underlying assumption that we're getting that information from them anyway. I have 3 or 4 copies of the 50-page attachment that they sent me and said, can you help me figure out what they mean by this? I haven't seen any provider that hesitates for a second
About sharing it.
about that information.
Yeah.
I mean, they're wanting to improve. I don't know, it just seems like something we could add to the release or the application that they understand that TRI may share.
At the very least, put in that email, please reach out to your quality improvement specialist, here's their phone number. Because
Yeah.
they're just sitting there brokenhearted about it, they're not calling us.
Yeah.
A reminder
Don't
for,
know.
that we can support them, it would be helpful, if
And then
nothing
I'm
else.
on the side where I don't even know, you know, if they've been contacted or not.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm not doing part of my job because of that. That I
And-
don't know
When to reach out to
yeah,
them.
exactly.
And Pat, before I went on maternity leave, Pat did a good job, I think, of initially revamping the data that he sends out to all of you, labeling things better, making sure that his columns made sense to somebody besides Pat and me, who finally hobbled together Pat's language when it comes to the data system. But maybe it's time to revisit those things. Maybe it's time to make them a separate tab to clearly indicate, okay, these are the programs in your area who are in this additional evidence place. Those kind of things. So you guys can kind of close the loops. Talk with programs. You know, keep poking them. You've gotten everything in, right? Come on, let's get this, wrapped up. And those are all things that we can revisit. When it comes to sharing the data, it's more than just incorporating it on the MOU. It's for us taking it back to the internal review board and saying, would this work? And so that's a big process. We can start to revisit and have conversations about it, but it won't be a quick fix. It'll be something we'll have to explore, and that will take some time. But those are all great feedback that we can take back and start making movement, to start making it more functional and working for everyone, not only programs, but all of you. Because you're right, they are sad, they are brokenhearted, and they're at home alone. And even if it's just getting a couple of policies, well, I didn't do it right. And it's like, no, that's not it. We just need to clarify some things. We need to add in some components. Don't take it that way.
Even if we could just get a weekly email or every other week and say, these are the programs that we've notified need to send us additional evidence. These are the programs that will need have their portfolios returned and we need them to resubmit. Just so that we know kind of where they're at, because only getting his spreadsheet once a month
Monthly,
makes it
yeah.
really hard. And if we can grab them before they just throw it under the desk, often we can re-engage them before it becomes a long-term.
Yeah. No, I completely understand what you guys are saying.
And there's one more piece of that,
No,
because
that's
they
okay.
assume that we all work in the same office and talk to each other all the time, they don't know that we don't know.
Now that we
So they're
everything
not only
else.
sitting there wondering what did I do wrong, they're also saying.
Why isn't Heather
my-
contacting me?
why is Heather not contacting me?
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
we don't know, because we don't know.
Yeah.
And we want to hold up our part of this partnership, but sometimes it feels like we're just hours a week on it.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, telling that to programs, I am not going to know how this is going. You've got to let me know. You've got to keep me in the loop. This is the part where it's between kind of you and TRI, and hopefully we can start changing that and making it less like that. But for the time being, making sure that they understand, okay, well, Heather isn't going to know that I'm sad and lonely at home and I need some help, but having that conversation start. But right now we're under the process of revamping a lot of our databases, and so these are all things that we can probably start at least having conversations about and how we could tie in and kind of close the loop with you guys. So all potential things. So that's the additional evidence piece. Quick and easy by email, quick phone calls, email us a couple policies, whatever it might be. The resubmission, Cheryl was kind of alluding to this earlier, is a bigger piece. So the resubmission is, maybe I was going for a 5-star and I didn't get it, and I'm still at this 2-star level. So that could be one of those resubmission things. It can also be programs who go, maybe they're seeking the 3-star level, they get it and attain it, but now they're ready to move up. They're ready to go to the 4, now they got the 4, they're ready to go to 5. Maybe they went for the 4 initially, and now they're ready to go for the 5. So it's not only those programs who are brokenhearted and sad, but it's also for everybody else who's ready to keep moving up the ladder. And so that process really encompasses every program who's ever done a portfolio review. They've gotten their feedback, they've got their portfolio back. What's next for them? So that's everybody else. Again, it's after that official rating has occurred, everything's been mailed back to them, and again, it's their opportunity if they want to move up to a higher star level, if it's from 2 to a 3, 3, 4, 5, so on and so forth. So does that distinction make sense? Again, quick and easy things and other things that need to take more time and more process. When it comes to resubmissions, programs can resubmit anytime they like, as often as they like. Encourage it. We talked about earlier in the previous session about the first draft concept. Again, it's your first draft. Send it in again. Let's get some feedback. Let's clarify some items. Let's move up for a star rating. Let's get some more feedback. Let's clarify some items. So again, as often as they'd like, at any time that they'd like. When it comes to the resubmission, we were talking about this too. Going through Pat's data, I'll work with him to start kind of clarifying and hopefully giving you guys the detail and the level of detail you need to understand who's what where. But again, any program who's gotten their portfolio back has this feedback and can use the resubmission process.
But if you looked at Pat's data, star level would indicate that they've sent a portfolio. A C2Q designation doesn't necessarily mean that.
If they truly are designated C2Q, they have a number 2. So in Pat's, obviously we don't have 2 stars, but in Pat's database, you have to assign a value to it. So it's a 2. At that point, if they've gotten a 2 there, you know they've sent in their portfolio and it has been reviewed and rated as a 2. So you're right, everybody else is C2Q, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they've got a portfolio even started. Maybe they're not going to ever move on. Maybe they went to the IQT, they sent out the application, and they thought about it and thought, yeah, no, I'm not going to do it. And that's okay. That's that pool. But then the other people who are in C2Q are the people who have intentionally submitted that portfolio, but for whatever reason didn't get it the first time around. They have up to a year that they can use this process, use that resubmission form. So again, encourage them to utilize this process. Encourage them to just get the feedback along the way. Again, this is still a field test, so having them give us that data, having them participate in this process really gives us the information that we need to make the revisions and the adjustments in this process. So it's super meaningful.
So if they get their 3-star, you're considering it resubmission when they turn in a 4-star portfolio. Do they need to resend all of their 3-star evidence if they include their score sheet?
We would always want to see the context. So I would always encourage them to do that because maybe when they're going for that 4-star, they didn't address something really well at the 4-star level. But as a reviewer, I will look for that criteria, that information throughout the whole domain. So if you give me a picture and I can see, well, when you submitted this picture for this 3-star level, but it has the thing that I need at the 4-star, so I can utilize that. So it's a huge advantage to them to just give us all of those things again, because as a reviewer, I might use that to officially make my designation. So it's going to help them through the process. By removing it, it's potentially a hindrance. And plus, then, you know, just like at home, if you take things apart, they never quite get back together again. So leaving them all in one place in one notebook is super beneficial, because otherwise they're going to have something in a 3-star chunk of material that's in the garage that they lost, and then their 4-star stuff. So always keeping it together just makes them more successful throughout time. Any questions about
You said
process?
1 year after they get their feedback form?
Yep, so they've got, you know, designated.
What happens if it expired a year,
Then they're going to have to resubmit for the whole thing. So maybe at that point they're going, you know, I've gotten a 3-star and I want to move up to a 4-star, but my year has elapsed. Well, then I'm going to have my 3-star evidence reevaluated. So maybe I need to readjust those things. Maybe I
So
need
they
to
would have to do
update
a
them.
new family survey with those new scores, new PQ report with new information there. So the pieces that are happening every year, you would need to put a new ASQ in, a new, you know.
All of those
But some of the
things.
others would still serve, right? They wouldn't be going from ground zero.
Yeah, if they hadn't updated
Like
their policies, yeah.
would- some of the
Yeah, as long as
policies and
nothing's changed,
like
all of
screen
those
time
things.
and,
Yeah.
maybe.
But maybe you've added new garden boxes in, so you're going to have to incorporate those things. I mean, it's just a lot easier and streamlined for programs to just do it within that 1 year to keep things going and moving. And plus, it gets them moving up through the levels quickly. I mean, breed success. We like that. So this is the resubmission form. When it comes to this form, I want you to understand this is what programs will get when they're doing the resubmission process. And it's what they get every time with their portfolio. They get it back from us, they're going to have this form. It's going to be updated and revised as needed. So if they're moving up a star level, if they're resubmitting for the star level that they were initially trying to seek, this is the form that they get. It lists all the 5 domains. It lists the standard level at each of them. And it lists the star level that they received. So a 5-star, a 4-star, a 3-star, maybe it was a C2Q if they didn't make it. So it clearly identifies what they need to do. And so for the resubmission process, this program was seeking a 4-star. They didn't make it their first time around. Dana's Darling Preschool Guide, C2Q, the first time around. No big deal. I know exactly what I need to address. 3 things in the learning and development domain didn't pass at the 4-star level, and 2 things in the health and safety domain didn't. So I need to address them. Well, I know in my program, I'm not ready to be doing the AS or the assessment piece. I've got a training scheduled in December, and I'm going to start doing that and implementing it in my program. So I know LD9 isn't going to change in my program. I'm still going to be C2Q. But I can revise my philosophy and make that a 4-star level. I can go back over LD5 and make the revisions and incorporate the feedback that reviewers gave me and make that functional. I'm still going to be C2Q at LD9. I'm not ready to do the assessment piece yet. That's okay. Because of the scoring criteria, I am passing 10 out of 12 for that domain, and I can move forward. Does that make sense? So again, this is a quick, easy form for programs to use. It's super functional. It makes them highly successful. And it makes them realize, wow, you know, I'm sad at home and I didn't get, you know, my 4-star designation. Oh, wait, so I have to do, well, 2 things in the learning and development domain and at least 1 in the health and safety to readdress and provide that additional evidence or clarify my evidence to reviewers. And then, hey, I've got it. Then I will be 4-star. Okay, 3 items, let's do this. It's not so bad. And so that's when you guys really come in. Okay, well, we know what we need to do. We know exactly how we're going to tackle this. And because reviewers give great feedback, you know exactly what needs to happen. So these are all examples of summary score sheets. These are actually of real programs. So it's truly what a reviewer has done and truly the feedback that the program has gotten. But for this example, it's one of the health and safety ones. The reviewer at the 4-star levels indicating, okay, well, you've clearly shown me you provide germ transmission instruction in a positive manner. You do it using naturally occurring opportunities, but you didn't tell me or show me how you do it on an individual basis or in group activities. So for the 4-star level, nope, you didn't make this one. What's the feedback? Evidence does not address at least 3 of the criteria above. Okay, so all I need to do is, well, of course we do it in group activities. We talk about washing our hands, and during circle time we talk about how we use Kleenexes. Oh, no big deal. I just missed that. I just didn't tell the reviewers that. Easy fix. Great feedback. I know exactly what I need to do. Another example of this one, again, 3 of the 4 are met, but no, they didn't make it. Well, what happened? Okay, so the feedback from reviewers is always in the final column. The evidence states what the policy is and it addresses the criteria. However, it is unclear that the evidence is from a document that is available to staff and or parents. So it's unclear if it's that outward-facing document that's available to other people in your program. Oh, so I should have included my whole policy handbook so you guys knew that I handed out to everybody? Oh, easy fix, here you go. Again, clean and easy feedback from programs to help them be successful.
So is there somewhere in there that it says every policy you need to show where it's from? Is that on the?
On the tips page, we always talk about what a policy is. We redefine it every single time that's in the portfolio. And so yes, we're saying, it's an outward-facing document. It's something that's, available to parents and or staff in your program. It's something that basically they're held accountable to a higher standard. We're not going out and doing observations in your program. So that's how we know that these practices and policies are
So is it okay if they just put on that with, where they show the copy of the policy, this is from page 14 in our staff handbook?
It's nice to have that. We always like to have the copy, but it's helpful as a reviewer if you always give us the whole thing.
So you can look at that also.
We can also look at that. We can, like we were talking about with, should I take out the 3-star stuff? No, give me all of the information because maybe you didn't address something. Oh, you didn't address encouraging conversations, but I can see it somewhere else. Well, you just didn't recognize it and tie it to this other piece. Oh, you only included the first page of this topic in your policy handbook, but it ran off and went to the second page. Little things like that. It's just a quick, easy error, but if I have the whole handbook, then I can say, well, you were in the middle of a sentence and now there's nothing else here. Oh, well, let me just go and read the last 2 sentences on the next page that it's in your whole handbook. So again, simple things, but it makes programs more successful. Does that make sense? Yeah.
But But so that my own feedback about that is that people don't know what the phrase outward facing document means.
Right.
I think instead of using that phrase, it would be really helpful if you could say parent handbook, staff handbook,
Right.
website, just like describe that.
Yeah, all of those
It's
things.
probably
In the newer version, a policy is a document that is used in program operations and is readily accessible to parents and or staff. It must be obvious to the reviewer that the policy came from another document, such as a policy manual, employee handbook, or a family handbook. When including a policy in your portfolio evidence, copy the policy directly from your handbook. So that, you're right. I mean, we shorthand it, outward facing, yeah. But when talking to programs, it's much more user friendly. Tell them what you want, yeah.
Thanks.
No.
I missed that part.
And that's okay. And as we've revised all of our materials, it was a huge snafu. And it's like, oh, no, no, no. We need to give them this. We need to tell them exactly what we want. Just like we were talking about earlier in the old portfolios when we were using the wonky numbers. That's not helpful. They don't want to have to flip back every single time so that they can understand what they need to include. Tell them what we want. Make it clear. Explain those definitions. What's a written description? What's a written example? What's a policy? Again, to make it easier, to make them more successful. Setting them up to succeed, not fail. Yeah. I've got one more example for you guys. Just another one came from a scoring sheet. None of the criteria were addressed. It's kind of hard to see, but nothing's crossed off. Nope, it didn't make it. The feedback from reviewers, only one schedule is included. It is not clear that this schedule applies to all 3 classrooms. The schedule included does not address at least 3 of the criteria. So again, we've got this classroom issue going on. I can't sort it out. The schedule that you've included, it's not addressing either of these things. So as the program, I know, oh, I should have given you everybody's schedule. I should have told you which classroom was which, and I need to make sure it incorporates these things. Great feedback. It helps programs be really successful. This is the first draft idea. So now I've got this stuff. I can incorporate it into my portfolio and be super successful. So this is what your experience will be with programs in your area. As they participate, as they submit a portfolio, things like this is what they'll be getting back from us. Does that help? Does that make sense?
That's very helpful.
Good. I am so
Now
glad.
it'll look familiar when I see it.
It will, and you can direct them to things. Okay, you know, they'll get it back and they'll be sad and they'll call you and say, Heather, I'm so disappointed. I only got C2Q. What do I do? Well, have you pulled out that summary score sheet in there? What do you need to address? Okay, well, look at this. You know, oh, you only have to address these 4 items? Okay, well, what's the feedback? Oh, well, you just need to tell me, you know, what classrooms they were from. That's not a big deal. Don't be sad about that. We'll have that in the mail by tomorrow. Let's just polish it up. And so that's, you know, the kind of support role that you guys play. We're the bad guys, and that's okay. But you guys are the ones who hold your hand and say, okay, I realize you're a little disappointed, but this isn't a big deal. We're just going to do a quick fix and get it back out the door. Again, the first draft concept. And when it comes to resubmission reviews, just so you guys understand the process, ideally, if we can, we return, when a resubmission comes through, it's returned to the original review team. So if it was Kathleen and I who saw Cheryl's portfolio the first time it came in and she's doing a resubmission, maybe she's going for a higher star level, it's ideally going to come back to us, knowing sometimes that people are out on maternity leave or something like that. Obviously, it doesn't always work out, but it's returned as often as we can to the original review team because it's that context. I've seen this program before. I remember this. Oh, I know that they included it over here. And you'd be surprised. You do get really familiar with them reviewing it, and you do remember, hey, they're the ones who had the cool playground. I remember this one. And so whenever we can, it goes back to the original review team. We only review the items indicated by the program that they submitted new evidence for. So when we looked at that resubmission form with the green and the yellow columns, only the ones that they indicated, okay, I included more evidence here, here, and here. Those are the only things that we're looking for. So they need to fill out that form. Very important. Don't mail it back to us without completing that form and telling us, what are you going for, what are you resubmitting for? Super important.
Which form is that?
That orange and this one, green one. So they need to, in the yellow columns, tell us, okay, I'm submitting again at this level for the 4-star. I'm submitting for this one, maybe the 5-star. Maybe I got my, family surveys back or something else, and I'm going to go for a higher star level.
Review. I mean, it is, when you see the actual form, it's really clear that they need to fill it out so that they know what to.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's all color coded for them to prompt them along. You just can't see it on the PowerPoint, but it's pretty user friendly. But again, they have to tell us, what are we looking for as reviewers? What additional things did you submit? Because when you just tuck one item in the portfolio again, the new thing doesn't stand out amongst pages and pages and pages. Yeah, it doesn't have like a little neon flashing sign at the side. So you have to tell us, hey, go find this other thing. And that's when we are prompted to know what to look for. So again, encourage them, make sure they fill out this form. Super important. And when it comes to the review process, for a resubmission, it's much, much faster. Some of you have programs in your area who have gotten their portfolio back and even resubmitted and gotten designated at a higher star level, and you've got somebody else in your area who hasn't even gotten to their initial review. It's much, much faster. It's just a couple of items. At this point, we've resolved all of those PQ issues. We've done a recent compliance check. All of those bottlenecks and snafus that happen have all been resolved. So these ones are quickly out the door. So it's nice when you can tell programs, odds are if you do this, you're going to get feedback really quickly. It's not going to be that long wait that you had to do the first time. Because again, we're only looking at a couple of items, and all those big issues are been resolved at this point. Any questions about this? No? You guys are doing good? And again, you're all here for the last session. We talked about it before, but making sure to emphasize your role. I'm not promising you're going to get a 3, 4, or 5 star. I'm not a reviewer. I'm here to help you. I'm here to guide you. I'll help you with organization. I'll proofread things for you. I'll help you if you're struggling with formatting, whatever it might be. But again, making sure that programs understand that, because even if you've never said that to them, they think, well, I've been working with you all this time, how am I not? And then they kind of blame you. They're mad, they're frustrated, they're just disappointed, but they're going to kind of take it out on you. No, let us be the bad guys, let them say, how does TRI not know I'm a 5-star program? Okay, they can have that frustration for a moment, but then they need to kind of take that next step. But it's nice when they're still comfortable and they're reaching out to you guys, not frustrated. So that makes sense. Any questions?
Are you guys still reviewing if they indicate that they're submitting a 3-star portfolio, but they include some 4 and 5-star evidence? Are you guys still reviewing those and giving them
Feedback.
It's
Absolutely.
been really validating for a lot of providers to get that feedback sheet, and then they see, the only thing holding me at a 3-star is the PQ1, but look at all the areas where I'm providing care at a 4 and 5-star level. It's really validating for
That's
them.
really good
And it
to hear.
really motivates them to go get that education
Really?
in order to be able to move up.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, and it helps chip it away. Some sections are way easier. Family partnership. You can submit for all of the 5-star stuff really, really
Yeah,
easily.
easy.
Same with some of the administration and business practices. Well, how many of these items are you doing? Well, I'm doing this one, this one, this one, this one, and that one. Oh, well, it's easy to kind of say, well, I'm getting 4 out of the 5, so I'm already at the 4-star level. So if they're including that for us, they get that feedback. So then when they get it back, and yeah, maybe I'm just at 3-star right now, but if you look at it, I only have 8 items that are holding me back from being a 4-star. Hey, 8 items, it's not like the first time. It's a much easier bite to take.
I like that idea because I had people saying, wow, I thought I could be a 5-star on this part, and I'm going, well, just don't do it yet. But that makes sense that they get that
Well, and for
feedback.
some of them, it's so overwhelming just to do the 3-star evidence that we just encourage them to go there.
Right.
But for others, it's like they want to showcase where they're really at,
Right.
and
Yeah.
And some of the standards are more user-friendly with that. If you're taking pictures of your shelves and you're showing, yes, they're written in English. Oh, they've got pictures, and also we have, a Spanish-speaking child in our program, and we also have Spanish there. Well, that one picture solves that whole standard. So just speaking to that really quickly while you're in the moment, great, 5-star for that one, good work. And so, again, some programs, it's too overwhelming, just direct them to the 3-star, but others start to recognize, hey, I could tuck in these other things. Yeah, go ahead and do that. Submit it, the reviewers will look at it, will give you feedback. Regardless, you'll have that, and you'll know exactly what you need to do next time around. So,
I have one center that's, they're stellar, but their director only qualifies them for a 3-star. But when she got her feedback form, it made her feel really good because they have
Yeah.
mostly 5s, a couple 4s, and then her 3. And that's, it's hard on some level for her to be the thing that's holding them back, but it's also very validating for her staff. to know that.
And when it comes to quality improvements, well, now I know exactly what we need to do. I need to, get some education. We need to move up for steps. We need to readdress these items, whatever it might be. And that's what we want. It's a clear path for quality improvements.
We have Adam has one and I have one, that the director is the one that doesn't have the education level. And I know in the case of the one that I have on my caseload, that's what's keeping them from pursuing the process. They've done the preliminary process, but I'm almost certain the director is dragging
His or her feet.
his or her feet because they're afraid, something. It probably has to do with their qualifications and, worry
Yeah.
about repercussions for themselves, maybe. Because their employers want that to happen.
But then they're afraid that the spotlight will then be turned on
I
me
don't know,
and you'll
that's
realize.
only what I'm
yeah.
guessing, at the major reluctance that I'm seeing, so.
And so much of the work that we do are all, partnerships, programs talking to programs, recognizing this process, getting support, and these tipping points. So maybe right now, because a director might be a little concerned about moving forward for whatever reason, you might see a tipping point when other providers in the area get the star rating. That's that competition piece that breeds back in. I mean, there's so much motivation that goes into this process, and you never know what's going to be the thing for that person. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, the light bulb went off for somebody, or, it lit a fire because, well, such and such, my competition down the street's done this and I want to do it too. Whatever it is, it's like, great, we'll take it all. It's all motivation.
It's not that hard to get the education.
No, yeah.
It's available.
Being
in so many
strategic,
ways,
yeah. Yeah, but again, everybody has kind of a different motivation. But figuring out what it is and utilizing it so we can move them along, absolutely. So more generally, do you guys have any QRIS questions? Because we're all here together, all of our brains are in the room, things are working, things aren't, things that need to get changed and adjusted so your jobs are more functional, things that you're just, I'm not sure about that. I mean, we have the time together right now. What can we help?
Well, this morning I was in the popular education. How can we use that? The IQTs are so dry. Those,
Yes.
90-some slides.
Isn't it a few more than that,
Whatever the
actually?
heck it is. Way too
Is
much.
anybody getting through the 94 slides?
Well, no, I
No.
will be, no. It's
No.
impossible, because you can't actually.
Maybe that's the problem.
actually talk about what.
We actually
what
could
it
do it.
is if
Wow.
that's
We
all
don't,
we're doing.
we
is
don't,
going
we
through
even
the
skip
slides.
some of the activities and still
Oh, I
can't get
have
through
some
it.
too.
I actually, the third time I did it, got through them all, but that was because I think I had a couple students that just really wanted to, and they said, please, we want to see the whole thing.
Yeah.
And it wound up being nice. I mean, we got a bigger picture out of it, so I could see the use of it, but boy, it's tough.
It is.
Yeah.
And I
And if
know
you want to have interactions, you know.
you can't have 90 slides.
Yeah.
And they
So,
come
and
out
that
of
be
it,
looked at,
they come
please.
out of it confused. As much as I try to emphasize that the self-assessment and the quality improvement plan and the portfolio all contain the same items. There's no
Yeah.
new questions thrown at them.
Nope, no surprises.
There's so many slides and so much information coming at them in the IQT that they're done, and then it's like, they don't have a clue
I
what
stop
they're
the
supposed to
slides
do.
at that point, and I get all that stuff out, and they get to actually feel it and look at it and
Mhm.
fill things out, and, we
Well,
just
we
take
go,
that break.
we take them out as we go through, but we
Yeah.
don't fill them completely out.
Oh,
Usually
okay.
their self-assessment takes a lot longer.
Sure,
Now, we
yeah,
have
but
been
they can get
successful
started.
having them come back at a community cafe, and then everybody work on, in fact, probably my most successful one, a group of Spanish-speaking providers did the IQT, and they actually decided when and where and what time they wanted to come back. They set the time through the interpreter and told me I showed up, I said, hey, I'll bring food.
There
I
you
have the
go.
answers.
Yeah, yeah.
Perfect.
And that was because they had the power and the ownership. That was the most successful. And at that one, the ones that actually showed up, everybody finished their paperwork. And we made copies then and there.
Yeah.
And so they mailed their stuff in for their welcome kits. So that was probably the most successful, action type
That's a
thing.
really good one.
You know, it's just getting people beyond that to the.
Exactly. And I mean, you guys have it. You know what works. You know your providers, your communities. You know what's functional. And it's doing all of those things. It's updating materials. It's tweaking things to make it more supportive. And on the IQT issue, yes, we know it's a beast. And it's not something that we've talked about, but I'll let the cat out of the bag. We are working on it. We are going in the new year. Our thoughts right now are dividing out the IQT to doing the more awareness level training and doing that something that's online so that they can do it in advance. They can get hours for that, but tie it out because that will save you 30-ish some slides and streamlining and revamping the rest.
Has that
So-
started to happen yet?
We've just started.
Terry and I developed it's an hour and a half, and we did it as a go-to meeting. Our go-to webinar is a pain.
Yeah.
But it was great. I think we had 6 or 8 people, and then I had 3 of them come the next week to my IQT, and 2 of them have already applied.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was small numbers, but it was also, we scheduled it too early after our training calendar came out. But we could share it. I mean,
Absolutely.
we basically just pulled the introductory pieces out of the IQT and reused them, and then
Yeah, because it's getting that basic knowledge early on. I just want to learn about the QRIS. I want to understand some general things about it. And I can do that really quickly online at my leisure. And don't get me wrong, we can still offer them for everyone else to make it functional. But again, making that really accessible and easy. And then when it comes to IQT, okay, well, I know what QRIS at least means before I walk in the door. That you're not starting at that point and trying to get them all the way through the application process and this portfolio and then this other thing. Way too much. It's absolute overload. So you're going to see that those things get, tore apart, separated out, to hopefully make your guys' lives easier. Again, it's not going to happen this month or next month in the new year, but that's something that we're working on. So look forward to those 2 things being tore apart and hopefully revamped. It'll only be, 88 slides, not 90.
would the introductory piece, would that be required before they can take the IQT?
Yep, because then they're not coming in the door with what's the QRIS, huh? Nope, we're going to get that done ahead of time so that when they walk in the door, they're ready to really move on to the more dense and depth stuff.
And for people who don't have a computer, we could have it where they could come in and just and do. Is that a possibility?
Absolutely, because we're going to have to play with it. Using this new format will work for some folks great. Other folks, well, I don't even have the internet. That's not functional for me. I don't own a computer. I hand wrote out my policies, whatever it might be.
Some people are
So we're gonna
comfortable
tweak it.
going to the library and doing it, but I
Yeah.
know like in Columbia County, they can only, what did Elaine say, they can only have access on a computer for a very short amount of time. It's not
Yes.
long enough to do a lengthy anything.
So it won't be just doing exclusive online component. There will always have to be some other things, but yes. Knowing at least though that they're going to have that base knowledge early on so that when it comes to the IQT, it truly will be just the meat of the QRIS, those other important components. Will hopefully make life easier and hopefully will help providers leave the room not being totally like, what just happened? My head hurts and I don't know anything. I filled out these things and I mailed them. I don't know what happened. Yeah, exactly, because it's just too much.
What am I woing? And
Would
and
that be available in
and
Spanish?
I'm supposed to do the
Something we'll
do my
have to
quality
adapt,
improvement
yeah.
plan first and then do
Yeah,
the
doing a
portfolio.
voiceover.
Or
Yep.
something, yeah.
Yeah, because it just like we're offering IQTs in Spanish or Russian, all of those other things will have to have that component. So absolutely. But yeah, so that's kind of something to look forward to in the new year. Again, we're just starting, just thinking about that process and all the logistics to work it out. How's it going to work for rural providers, for people who don't have computers? But it's in the works, so the IQT will improve. But what other things are on you guys' wish list? Because now this is the time.
I
I wish we could go in and see our TA logs instantly.
The back end.
Yeah.
I'm working,
I have a hard time with that sometimes, like, gosh, did I put that in or not?
It's just so weird because you can go back in NACRA and see your work, and you can go back in Oro and see your work, and me, I'm just like a visual person, so to not see it, it just makes me, it's just.
It's like, have I just recorded this 3 times or none of
I have no idea,
And
yep.
when you talk to certain providers, like, every day.
It starts to
or-
blend.
It's like,
Yep,
And when you talk to certain providers after, once a week or once a month or
Touch
so,
point.
what did we talk about last time before I sent her this email? Am I repeating what we just did and showing that I have no idea what's happening?
don't worry about that. So as another kind of tease, I've been working so much with the evaluation team, and we're getting closer and closer every week with revamping the contact reports, the external logs that you guys use, streamlining them, cutting out things that we want, things that we don't want, what would be too much for you guys, reworking them and arguing about them 100 times over. It's been fun. But we are going to move them into Survey Gizmo. And though it hasn't happened yet, I've been working online and doing their tutorials, and I understand it from what I've gotten to now, and knowing that I don't have the full thing on there and I can't beta test it and play with it and see if it works. Survey Gizmo has the option to send all of your data into an Excel file. So it would be a Google online Excel file that would be live.
for just that one person, or for
It will be
everybody?
everybody. So I can't tease it out. So if you want it live, you get the whole world. But if it's not live, then it would be once a month or something like that. Because again, getting us on a system, so not every 20 minutes we're sending out an email to Cheryl, sending out an email, to somebody else. But that is an advantage and disadvantage. Again, we haven't gotten it there yet, so we can't see it to see how functional it is or if it works. Also, there's a concern right now, and we don't know if you change the back end of it, if you see that Excel file and you change and say, oh no, I talked with this provider for 20 minutes, does that change get captured? Does it change it in the original one? How do we want that? If you have an error, do we want you to tell Pat and he changes it on the true back end, or is this just kind of a read-only option? So there's all of those logistics, because you can go in and inadvertently, I'm looking for my own TA, and I'm scrolling across on Cheryl's, and I deleted something on hers. I didn't mean to, but that would be a huge issue, because you're just in there, and it's easy to hit a button and delete something out. So it would need to be kind of a read-only end that you guys can see.
Download that snapshot at that moment, and then we could just sort in Excel our own, delete everybody else, and then.
Yeah, so, and then it would be having those Excel skills that you can do that, absolutely. And we can do TA when it comes to that point. Cheryl has mad Excel skills, and she just assumes everyone, yes, she does. She assumes everyone else can do that, but we can do that. But there's all these concerns that the evaluation team has, because you could easily delete something. So if it can't be a read-only version, if it's truly the back end, and if something got deleted out of there, Pat would lose that data, it won't be available to you guys. So know that it's a feature in Survey Gizmo. We're gonna try and use it. We're gonna play with it ourselves to make sure it's functional, but it's not a guarantee, because we haven't gotten to that point. But I hear you, I know it's important, and I'm trying to make it happen. It takes forever, I'll admit. But I know it's important. I know when I do, and it's such a double standard, but when I'm inputting my stuff, I'll peek on the back end, because I'm like, I don't know if I logged my phone call with Cheryl. Oh, I can look because I have access. Sorry, guys. Exactly. The phone rang and I was in the middle of this. Did I finish? Did I not? Yeah, it's so cheater that I can get in and clarify my things, but you guys can't. So we're working on it, and hopefully that will be something that's functional. That's why we're going that route with Survey Gizmo. So, any other questions, concerns, wishes? You guys are a fun group. I've liked having you here the past 2 days. It's fun to see everybody and be back with you all again.